Hi, I'm Sasi Kumar, and this is day 22 of improving my communication skill. And as I reach my home, right now I'm in my home, so there is some sound echo and light problem. So please cooperate it. And as I have told to do some other things, but as I travel lot today and just new setups and all those, so it's making me a little bit uncomfortable and thinking that I if I am speaking, my mom will wake up and see what are you doing like that, so I will keep my voice low. Okay, and as I have already started reading Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert T. Kiyosaki. This book is uh, I have taken from Kumar Priyansu. Thanks to that man, he helps me. And so I've already started chapter number one. The chapter one, the rich don't work for money. So I have covered one part, and because this is long book, so I cannot wait for coming online and start reading book. So from next day I will do some other things instead of reading books online. Actually, I will take for few days for that. But till now, just cooperate all those things. So after our this vacation, I will do surely I will do all those things. So okay, a partnership is uh, as I've completed this thing. Well, use your hand, you use your head, son. She said, smiling. Even then, once again. Well, use your head, son. He said, smiling. Even then, I knew that that's all I'm going to tell you, or don't know the answer, so don't embarrass me. A partnership is formed. The next morning, I told my best friend Mike what my dad had said, as best as I could tell. Mike and I were the only poor kid in the school. Mike was also in this school by a twist of fate. Someone had drawn a jog in the land for the school district, and we wound up in a school with the rich kids. We weren't really poor, but we felt as if we were because all the other choir had a new baseball gloves, new bicycle, new everything. Mom and dad provided us the basics like food, shelter, and clothes. But that was about it. My dad used to say, if you want to something, work for it. We wanted things, but there was not much work available for 9-year-old boys. So what do we do to make money? Mike asked. I don't know, I said. But do you want to be my partner? He agreed, and so on that Saturday morning, Mike became my first business partner. We spent all morning coming up with the ideas on how to make money. Occasionally, we talk about all the cool guys at Jimmy's beach house having fun. It hurts. It hurt a little, but that hurt was good because it inspired us to keep thinking of a way to make money. Finally, that afternoon, a bolt of lightning struck. It was an idea Mike got from a science book he had read. Exactly, exact, excitedly. We shook hands, and the partnership now had a business. For the next several weeks, Mike and I ran around our neighborhood, knocking on door and asking our neighbor if they would save their toothpaste tubes for us. With puzzled looks Must adult consent with us, man? Some ask us what we are doing, to which we replied, we cannot tell you, it's a business secret. My mom grew distressed as the My mom grew distressed as the week wore on. We had selected a site next to her washing machines as the place we would stockpile our raw material. In a brown cardboard box that w- in a brown cardboard box that at one held ketchup bottles, our little pile of used toothpaste tube began to grow. Finally, my mom put her foot down. The sight of her neighbor, messy, crumpled used toothpaste tube had gotten to her. What are you, what are you boys doing? She asked, and I don't want to hear again that it's business secret. Don't do something with the mace or I am going to throw it out. Mike and I played and begged, explaining that we would soon have enough and then could begin productions. We informed her that we are waiting on a couple of neighbors to finish their toothpaste so we could have their tubes. Mom granted Mom granted us a 1 week extension. The date to begin production was moved up, and the pressure was on. My first partnerships was already begun, threatened with an invocations notice by own mom. It became Mike's jobs to tell the neighbors to quickly use up their toothpaste, saying their dentist wanted them to brush more often anyway. I began to put together the production line. It became Max to tell the neighbors to. Okay, okay, fine, man. One day, my dad drove up with a friend to see two 9-year-old boys in driveway with a production line operating at full speed. There was fine white powder everywhere. On a long table were a small milk cartoon from a schools, and our family hibachi grill was glowing with red hot coals at maximum heat. Dad walked up cautiously, having to park the car at the base of the driveway since the production line blocked the carport. As he and his friend got closer, they saw a steel pot sitting on top of the coil in which the toothpaste tubes were being melted down in those days. Toothpaste did not come in plastic tubes. The tubes were made of lead. So once the paint was burned up, the tubes were dropped in a small steel pot. They melted until they became liquid. And with my mom's pot holder, we poured the lead through a small hole in top of milk carton. The milk carton were filled with plaster of Paris. White powder was everywhere. In my haste, I had knocked the bag over, and the entire area looked like it had been hit by a snowstorm. The milk cartons were the containers for the plaster of Paris mold. My dad and his friend watched as we carefully poured the molten lead through a small hole in the top of the plaster of Paris cube. Carefully, my dad said. I nodded without looking up. Finally, once the pouring was through, I put the steel pot down and I smiled at my dad. What are you boys doing? He asked with a gracious smile. We are doing what you told me to do. We are going to be rich, I said. Yep, said Mike, gripping and nodding his head. We are partners. And what is those plaster molds? My dad asked. Was I said this should be good batch. With a small hammer, I tapped at the seal. We divided a cube in half. Cautiously, Cautiously, I pulled up the top half of the plaster mold and a laid a nickel fell out. Oh no, my dad exclaimed. You are casting nickel out of lead. That's right, Max said. We are doing as you told us do. We are making money. My dad's friends turned and burst into laughter. My dad smiled and shook his head. Along with a fire and a box of a spent toothpaste tube in front of him were two little bags covered with white dust, smiling, smiling from ear to ear. He asked us to put everything down and sit with him on the front step of our house. With a smile, he gently explained what the word counterfeiting meant. Our dream were dashed. You mean this is illegal? Asked Mac in a querying voice. Our dream was dashed. Our dreams were dashed. You mean this is illegal? Asked Mac in a querying voice. Let them go, my dad's friend said. They might be developing a natural talent. My dad glared at him. Yes, it is illegal, my dad said gently, but you boys have shown great creativity and original thought. Keep going, I'm really proud of you. Disappointed Mac and I sat in silence for about 20 minutes before we began cleaning up our mess. The business was over on opening day. The business was over on opening day. Sweeping the powder up, I looked at Mac and said, I guess Jimmy and his friends are right. We are poor. My father would just leaving as I said that voice. He said, you are only poor if you give up. The most important thing is that you did not the most important thing is that you did something. Most people only talk and dream of getting rich. You have done some things. I am very proud of the two of you. I will say it again. Keep going. Don't quit. Don't quit. Mike and I stood there in silence. They were nice words, but the still did not know what to do. So, how come you are not rich, Dad? I asked. Because I chose to be a school teacher. A school teachers really don't think about being rich. We just like to teach. I wish I could help you, but I really don't know how to make money. Mike and I turned and continued our cleanup. I knew, said my dad, if you I know, said my dad. If you boys want to learn how to be rich, don't ask me. Talk to your dad, Mike. My dad asked my dad asked Mike with a scrunched up face. Yeah, your dad, repeated my dad with a smile. Your dad and I have the same bankers and he robs about your father. He's told me several times that your father is brilliant when it's come to making money. My dad, Mike asked again in disbelief. Then how come? My dad, Mike asked again in disbelief, then how come we don't have a nice car and a nice house with the rich kids at school? A nice car and a nice house doesn't necessarily mean you are rich and or you know how to make money. My dad replied. Jimmy's dad worked for the sugar plantation. He don't He is not much different from me. He works for a company and I work for the government. The company buys the car for him. The sugar company is financial trouble and Jimmy's dad may soon have nothing. Your dad is different, Mike. He seems to be building an empire and I suspect in a few years he will be a very rich man. With that, Mike and I got excited again. With new vigor, we began cleaning up the mess caused by our own diffused first business. As we are cleaning, we made plans for how and when to talk to Mike's dad. The problem was that Mike's dad worked long hours and often did not come home until late. His father owned warehouse, a construction company, a China of stores, and three restaurants. It was the restaurant that kept him out late. Mac caused the bus home after we had finished cleaning up. He was going to talk to his dad when he got home that night and ask him if he would teach us how to become rich. Mac promised to call as soon as he had talked to this talk to his dad, even if it was late. The phone rang at 8:30 p.m. Okay, I said next Saturday. I put the phone down. Mac's dad had agreed to meet with us. On Saturday, I get a 7:30 a.m. bus to the poor side of town. Side of town. Okay. This is the making partnership is formed. A partnership is formed. In this part, we see how means our main characters and Mike, one of his friend, make being a good partners as they started up doing business from toothpaste to making lead and some things. So as they failed because this is illegal, so they were as writers dad said, you can talk to Mike's dad. So they are planned to meet to their dads dad. So the next chapter is the lesson began. Mac and I met with his dad that morning at 8 o'clock. He was already busy, having been at work for more than an hour. His construction supervisor was just living in his pickup truck as I walked up to his simple, small, and tidy home. Mac met me at the door. That's phone. That's on the phone, and he said to wait on the back porch. Mac said as he opened the door. He old wooden. The old wooden floor cracked as I stepped across the threshold of the aging house. There was a cheap mat just inside the door. The mat was there to hide the years of wear from countless footsteps that the floor had supported. Although clean, it needed to be replaced. I felt claustrophobic as I entered the narrow living room that was filled with old, musty, overstuffed furniture that that today would be collector's item. Sitting on the couch were two women, both a little older than my mom. Across from the woman sat a man in workman's clothes. He wore khaki slacks and a khaki shirt, neatly pressed but without a stretch, and polished work boots. He was about 10 years older than my dad. They smiled as Mac and I walked past them towards the back porch. I smiled back shyly, shyly. Who are those people? I asked. Oh, they work for my dad. The older man runs their warehouses, and the women were managers of the restaurant. As, and as you arrived, you saw the construction supervisor who is working on a road project about 50 miles from here. His other supervisor who is building a track of house left before you got there here. Does this go on all the time? I asked. Not always, but quite often, said Mike, smiling as pulled up a chair to sit down next to me. I asked my dad if he would teach us to make money. Mike said, "One second." I asked my dad if he would teach us to make money. Mike said, "Oh, and what did he say to that?" I asked with cautious curiosity. Well, he had a funny look on his face at first, and then he said he would make you as an offer. Oh, I said, rocking my chair back against the wall. I sat there perched on two rear legs on the chair. Mac did the same things. Do you know what the offer is? I asked. Not, but we'll soon find out. Suddenly, Mac's dad burst through the rickety screens door and onto the porch. Mac, I Mac and I jumped to our feet out of the respect, but because we are startled. Ready, boys? He asked as he pulled up a chair to sit down with us. We nodded our heads as we pulled our chairs away from the wall to sit in front of him. He was a big man, about 6 feet tall and 200 pounds. My dad was taller, about the same weight, and 5 years older than Mac's dad. The sort of looked alike, though not of the same ethnic makeup. Maybe their energy was similar. Max says, "You want to learn to make money. Is that correct, Robert?" I nodded my head quickly, but with a little trepidation. He had a lot of power behind his words and a smile. "Okay, here's my offer. I will teach you, but I won't do it classroom style. You work for me, I will teach you. You don't work for me, I wouldn't teach you." Mm-mm-mm-mm. "You work for me, I will teach you. You don't work for me, I wouldn't teach you." Okay. And she told me, "If you work for me, then I will teach you, otherwise, no. I can't teach you faster if you work, and I am wasting my time if you just to sit and listen like you do in a schools. That's my offer. Take it or leave it." May I ask a question first? I asked. "No, take it or leave it. I have got too much work to do to waste my time. If you can't make up your mind this decisively, then you will never learn to make money anyway. Opportunity comes and go. Being able to know when to make quick decision is an important skill. You have the opportunity that you asked for. A school is beginning, or it's over in 10 seconds. Max dad said with a tasting smile. "Take it," I said. "Take it," and said Mike. "Good," said Mac's dad. "Mr. Martin will be by in 10 minutes. After I am through with her, you will ride with her to my superette and you can begin work. I will pay you 10 cents an hour and you will work 3 hours every Saturday. But I have a softball game today," I said. Max dad lowered his voice to a stern tone. "Take it or leave it," he said. "I will take it," I replied, choosing to work and learn instead of playing. To The world is moving faster and faster. A stock market trades are made in milliseconds. Deal comes and go on internet in a matter of minutes. More and more people are competing for good deals. So the faster you can make a decision, the more likely you will be able to seize opportunity before someone else does. Yes, you have to take decision faster, quicker. So 30 cent later means the third part of first chapter. 30 cent later means as they have some offer to work on Saturday and 3 hours every Saturday and 10 cent for each hour. So 30 cent for 3 hour. 30 cents later. By 9 a.m. the day Mike and I were working for Mr. Martin. She was a kind of patient woman. She always said that Mike and I reminded her for two grown sons, although kind. By 9 a.m. that day, Mike and I were working for Mrs. Martin. She was a kind and patient woman. She always said that Mike and I reminded her over her two grown sons, although kind. Although kind, she believed in hard work and kept us moving. We spent 3 hours talking canned goods of the shelves, brushing each can with a feather duster to get the dust off. feather duster to get the dust off, and then re-stacking them neatly. It was excruciatingly boring work. Max dad, whom I call my rich dad, owned none of these little superiors, each with a large parking lot. They were the early version of the 7-Eleven convenience stores, little neighborhood grocery stores. There were people bought items such as milk, bread, butter, and cigarettes. The problem was that this was Hawaii before air conditioning was widely used, and the store could not close their doors because of the heat. On two sides of the store, the doors had to be wide open to road and parking lot. Every time a car drove or pulled into the parking lot, dust would swirl and settle in the store. We knew we had a job as long as there was no air conditioning. For 3 weeks, Mike and I reported to Mrs. Martin and worked our 3 hours. By noon, our work was over, as she dropped three little dimes in each of our hand. Three little dimes in each of our hands. Now, even at the age of 9 in the mid 1950s, 30 cents was not too exciting. Comic book cost 10 cents back then, so I usually spent my money on comic books and went home. My Wednesday of the fourth week, I was ready to quit. I had agreed to work only because I wanted to learn to make money for Mike's dad, and now I was slave for 10 cents an hour. On top of that, I had not seen Max dad since the first Saturday. I'm quitting. I told Mac at lunchtime. School was boring, and now I did not even have my Saturdays to look forward to. But it was the 30 cents that really got to me. This time Mac smiled. What are you laughing at? I asked the anger and frustration. Dad said this would happen. He said to meet with him when you were ready to quit, 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 quit. What I said indicatively. He's been waiting for me to get fed up. Sort of Max said that's kind of different. He doesn't teach like your dad. Your mom and dad lectures a lot. My dad is quiet and man of few words. You just wait till this Saturday. I will tell him you are ready. You mean you have I have been set up? No, no, not really, but maybe Dad will explain on Saturday. Means, as we know, when we are working for some months and getting low payment, so we are thinking about to quit. Then similar situations come here. Then their fathers, means my fathers, invited them to discuss about that. So waiting in a land on Saturday, I was ready to face Mac's dad. Even my real dad was angry with him. My real dad, the one I call the poor one, thought that my rich dad was violating child labor laws and should be investigated. My educated poor dad told me to demand what I deserve, at least 25 cents an hour. My poor dad told me that if I told to get a rise, I was quit immediately. You don't need that damned job anyway, said my poor dad with indignation. At 8 o'clock Saturday morning, I walked through the door of Mac's house when the Mac's dad opened it. Take a seat and wait in line, he said as I entered. He turned and disappeared into his little office next to a bedroom. I looked around the room and didn't see Mike anywhere. Feeling awkward, I cautiously sat down next to the same two women who were there 4 weeks earlier. They smiled and slid down the couch to make room for me. 45 minutes went by and I was steaming. The two women had met with him and left 30 minutes earlier. An older gentleman was there for 20 minutes and was also gone. The house was empty. And here I sat in a musty dark living room on a beautiful sunny Hawaiian day waiting to talk to Chapas cats who exploited children. I could hear him rustling around the office, talking on the phones and ignoring me. I was ready to walk out, but for some reason I stayed. Finally, 15 minutes Finally, 15 minutes later, at exactly 9 o'clock, rich dad walked out of his office, said nothing, and signaled with his hand for me to enter. I understand you want a rise or going to quit, his dad said as he swilled in his voice in office chair. I understand you want a rise or you are going to quit, Rich Dad said, as he swilled in his office chair. Well, you are not keeping your end of the bargaining. I blurted out, nearly in tears. It was really frightening for me to confront a grown up. You said that you would teach me if I worked for you. Well, I have worked for you. I have worked hard. I have given up my baseball games to work for you. But you haven't kept your words and you haven't taught me anything. You are a crook like everyone in town thinks you are. You are greedy. You want all the money and don't take care of your Employees. Employees. Why am employees like that? You made me wait and don't show me any respect. I'm only a little boy, but I deserve to be treated better. Rich dad rocked back in swivel chair, hands up to his chin, and stared at me. Not bad, he said. Less than a month, you sound like most of the employees. What? I asked, not understanding what he was saying. I continued with my grievance. I thought you were going to keep your end of the bargaining and teach me. Instead, you want to torture me. That's cruel. That's really cruel. I am teaching you, Rich Dad said quietly. What have you taught me? Nothing, I said angrily. You haven't even talked to me once since I agreed to work for peanuts. The 10 cent an hour? Huh? I should notify the government about you. We have child labor laws, you know. My dad worked for the government, you know. Wow, said Rich Dad. Now you sound just like most of the people who used to work for me. People I have either fired or who have quit. So what do you have to say? I demanded, feeling pretty brave for a little kid. You lied to me. I have worked for you and you haven't kept your word. You haven't taught me anything. How do you know that I have not taught you anything? Asked Rich Dad calmly. Well, you have never talked to me. You, I have worked for 3 weeks and you have not taught me anything. I said with a pout. Does teaching mean lacking? Does teaching mean taking? Does teaching mean talking or a lecture? Rich Dad asked. Well, yes, I replied. That's how they reach. That's how they teach you in a school. He said, smiling. But that is not how lab teaches you, and I would say that lab is the best teacher of all. Most of the time, lab does not talk to you. It just sort of pushes you around. Each push is lab saying, "Wake up! There is some things I want you to learn." What is this man talking about? What is this man talking of? What is this man talking about? I asked myself. Life pushing me around was life talking to me. Now I knew I had to quit my job. I was talking to someone who needed to be locked up. If you if you learn labs lessons, you will do well. If not, lab will be just continue to push you around. People do two things. Some just let lab push them around. Other gets angry and push back. But they push back against their boss on their job or their husband or wife. They don't know it is lab that pushing. That's pushing, pushing. I I had no idea what he was talking about. Lab pushes all of us around. Some people give up and other fight. Few learn few learn the lesson and move on. They welcome life pushing them around. To these few people, it means they need and want to learn some things. They learn and move on. Most quit and few like you fight. This that a student shut the crinkly old wooden window that needed repair. If you learn this lesson, you will grow into a wise, wealthy, and happy young man. If you don't, you will spend your life blaming a job, low pay, or your boss for your problems. You will live, you will live life always hoping for the that big break that will solve all your money problems. Rich Dad looked over at me to see if I was still listening. His eyes met mine. We stared at each other, communicating through our eyes. Finally, I looked away once I had absorbed his message. I knew he was right. I was blaming him, and did ask to learn. I was fighting. Rich Dad continued, or if you are the kind of person who has no guts, you just give up every time pushes you. If you are that kind of person, you will live all your life playing it safe, doing the right things, saving yourself for some events that never happens. Then you die a boring old man. You will have lots of friends who really like you because you were such a nice, hardworking guy. But the truth is that you let life push you into submission. Deep down, you were terrified at taking risk. You really wanted to win. But the fear of losing was greater than the excitement of winning. Deep inside you and you only you will know you did not go for it. You chose play it safe. Your eyes met again. You have been pushing me around. I asked. Some people might say that a smiled rich dad. Some people might say that a smiled rich dad. I would say that I just gave you a taste of life. What taste of life? I asked, still angry but now curious and ready to learn. You boys are the first people who have ever asked me to teach them how to make money. I have more than 150 employees, and not one of them has asked me what I know about money. They ask me for a job and pay check, but never to teach them about money. So most will spend the best years of their lives working for money, not really understanding what it is they are working for. I sat there listening intently. So when Mac told me you wanted to learn how to make money, I decided to design a course that mirrored real life. I could talk until I was blue in the face, but you could not hear a thing. So I decided to let life push you around a bit so you could hear me. That's why I only paid you 10 cents. So what is the lesson I learned from working for only 10 cents an hour? I asked. That you are cheap and exploit your workers. Rich Dad rocked back and laughed heartily. Finally, he said, "You had best change your point of view. Stop blaming me and thinking I am the problem. If you think I am the problem, then you have to change me. If you realize that you are the problem, then you can change yourself, learn something, and grow wiser. Most people want everyone else in the world to change but themselves. Let me tell you, it's easier to change yourself than everyone else. I don't understand, I said. Don't blame you for your problems, his dad said, growing impatience. But you only pay me 10 cents. So what we are so what are you learning, his dad asked, smiling. That's your chip, I said with a sly grin. See, you think I am the problem, said Rich Dad. But you are. Well, keep that attitude and you will learn nothing. Well, keep that attitude, you will learn nothing. Keep the attitude that I am the problem and that what choices do you have? Choice do you have? Well, if you don't pay me more or show me more respect and teach me, I will quit. Well put, Rich Dad said. Well put, Rich Dad said. And that's exactly what most people do. They quit and go looking for another job, a better opportunity, and a higher pay, actually thinking that this will solve the problem. In most cases, I won't. So what would I do? I asked. Just take his measly 10 cent an hour and a smell. Rich Dad a smell. That's what the other people do. But that's all they do, waiting for a rise, thinking that more money will solve their problems. Most just accept it, and some take a second job working harder, but again accepting a small paycheck. Staring at the floor, beginning to understand the lesson Rich Dad was presenting. I could sense it was a taste of life. Finally, I looked up and asked, "So, what will solve the problem?" This, he said, leaning forward in the chair and tapping me gently on the head. This stuff between your ears. It was at the moment that Rich Dad shared the pivotal point of view that separated him from his employees and my poor dad and led him to eventually become one of the richest men in Hawaii. While my highly educated but poor dad has struggled financially all his life. It was a singular point of view that made all difference over a lifetime. Rich Dad explained the point of view over and over, which I call lesson number one. The poor and the middle class work for money. Rich have money for one. The rich have money work for them. The poor and the middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. One that bright Saturday morning, I learned a completely different point of view from what I had been taught by my poor dad at the age of 9. I understood that both dads wanted me to learn. Both both dads encouraged me to study, but not same things. My highly educated dad recommended that My highly educated dad recommended that I do what he did. Son, I want you to study hard, get good grades so you can find a safe, secure job with big company and make sure it was excellent benefits. My rich dad wanted me to learn how money works so how to make I could it work for me. My rich dad wanted me to learn how money works so I could make it work for me. This lesson I would learn through lab with his guidance, not because of a classroom. My rich dad continued my first lesson. I am glad you got angry about working for 10 cents an hour. If you had not got angry and had simply accepted it, I would have to tell you that I could not teach you. You see, true learning takes energy, patience, and a burning desire. Anger is a part of that formula. For patience, anger, and love. For patience is anger and love combined. When it comes to money, most people want to play it safe and feel secure. So patience does not direct them. Fear does. So is that why they will take jobs with low pay? I ask. So is that why tell why so is that why they will take jobs with low pay? I asked. Yes, said Rich Dad. Some people say exploited people because I don't pay as much as the sugar plantation or the government. I say the people exploit themselves. It's their fear, not mine. It's their fear, not mine. But don't you feel you should pay them more? I asked. I don't have to. And besides, more money will not solve their problems. Just look at your head. Just like, I don't have to. One second, one second, one second. ओके, इतना क्या मैंने कर रहा है? ओ प्रत्युष, हाय गाइस. ओके, हाँ, एक्चुअली आई एम गोइंग move fast as hi Pratyush. As actually this is a long chapter and I want to sleep, and so, but I will finish 2 pages. Then I from now I will read little bit slow. As I am seeing I am going fast, and that's making me some, yeah. Yeah, I will sleep. I will sleep. Actually, things are going means interesting, and I want to see what's going to happen in next. So yes, I am at home. That's why I'm reading in fast. As that's it is easy to read. As I'm seeing not fumbling in words, so that's why I'm reading fast. So, and this book excited me every point of time. What happened in next. So that's why I'm reading that, and actually I'm relating all those things to my real life. Actually, that was from last day. Last day we have done dinner at 2 a.m. So that's why I have posted today, because at last night I slept and come to home. I want to stay there, but due to lights problems and all those things, that's why I came back to our home. And one thing I was going to IIT Kanpur, but due to some reason that was also cancelled. So it's also make me hurt. Approx 5, 5 to 6, five, six people, as I think. No, 10 people. Five from my groups and some from gyms, and some guy from always like Kamlesh and Dev Roshan, like that guy. They always just stay in hostel. So uh, they are in hostel. Approx 10 student is in hostel. Right. I think most of people will live in next few days, because lads problem is there, and everyone don't want to cook foods, as cooking food is take more time. Okay, okay, thank you Pratyush to come here and see me. Okay, um, so that's why the 10 cents an hour, I said smiling. Okay, okay. So is that why? Thank you Pratyush. So is that why they will take jobs with low pay? I asked. Yes, said Rich Dad. Some people say I exploit people because I don't pay as much as the sugar plantation or the government. I say the people exploit themselves. It's their fear, not mine. But don't you feel you should pay them more? I asked. I don't have to. And besides, more money will not solve their problems. Just look at your dad. He makes a lot of money and he still cannot pay his bills. Most people given more money only get into more debt. So that's why the 10 cent an hour, I said smiling. It's a part of the lesson. That's right, smiled Rich Dad. You see, your dad went to a schools and got an excellent education, so he could get a high-paying job. But he still has money problems because he never learned nothing about money is in a school. On today, On top of that, he believes in working for money, and you don't. Uh, and you On top of that, he believes in working for money, and you don't. I asked. No, I not really, said Rich Dad. If you want to learn, if you want to learn to more work for money, then stay in a school. That is great place to learn to do that. But if you want to learn how to have money work for you, then I will teach you that. But only if you want to learn. Wouldn't everyone want to learn that? I asked. No, said Rich Dad, simply because it's easier to learn to work for money. Especially its fear is your primary emotions when the subject of money is discussed. I don't understand, I said with a frown. Don't worry about that for now. Just know that it's fear that keep don't worry about that for now. Just know that it's fear that keeps most people working at a job. The fear of not paying their bills, the fear of being fired, and the fear of not having enough money, and the fear of starting over. That's the price of studying to learn a profession or trade and then working for money. Most people become a slave to money and then get angry at their boss. Have money, learning to have money work for you is a completely different course of a study. I asked. Absolutely, Rich Dad answered. Absolutely. We sat in silence on the beautiful Hawaiian Saturday morning. My friends had just started their little league baseball game, but for some reason I was no thankful I had decided to work for 10 cents an hour. I sensed that I was about to learn something my friends wouldn't learn in a school. Ready to learn? Asked Rich Dad. Absolutely, I said with a grin. I have kept my promise. I have been teaching you from my afar. My rich dad said, at 9 year old, you have gotten a taste of that. It feels like a work for money. Just multiplying your last month, you 50, just multiply your last month by 50 years, and you will have an idea of what most people spend their life doing. I don't understand, I said. How do you how did you feel waiting in a line to see me, once to get hired and once to ask for money? Terrible, I said. If you choose to work for money, that is what life will be like, said Rich Dad. And how did you feel when Mrs. Martin dropped three dims in your hand for 3 hours of work? I felt like it wasn't enough. It seems like nothing. I was disappointed, I said. And what is how most employees feel when they looked at their paychecks, especially after all the tax and other deductions are taken out. At least you got 10%. You mean most workers don't get paid everything? I asked with amazement. You mean most workers don't get paid everything? I asked with amazement. Heavens, no, said Rich Dad. The government always take it first share first. The government always takes its share first. How do they do that? I asked. Taxes, said Rich Dad. You are taxed when you earn. You're taxed when you spend. You're taxed when you save. You are taxed when you die. Why do you people let the government to do that to them? Rich, the rich don't, said his dad with a smile. The poor and the middle class do. I will bet you that I earn more than your dad, yet the pay more in taxes. How can that be? I asked. At my age, that made no sense to me. Why would someone let the government do that to them. Rich dad rocked slowly and silently in his chair, just looking at me, ready to learn. He asked, I nodded my head slowly. As I said, there is a lot to learn. Learning how to have money work for you in a is a lifetime study. Most people go to college for 4 years and their education ends. I already know what my studies of money will continue over my lifetime. Simply because of the more I find out need to know. Most people ever study the subjects. They go to work, get their paychecks, balance their checkbooks, and that's it. Then they wonder why they have money problems. They think that more money will solve their problems and don't realize that it's their lack of financial education is the problem. So my dad has tax problems because he does not understand money. I asked confused. Look, said his dad, taxes are just one small sections of learning how to save money work for you. Today, I just wanted to find out if you still have the patience to learn about money. Most people don't. They want to go to a school, learn a profession, have a fun at their work, and earn lots of money. One day they wake up with big money problems, and then they cannot stop working. That's the price of only knowing how to work for money instead of studying how to have money work for you. I just wanted to find out if you still have the patience to learn about money. Most people don't. They want to go to a school, learn a profession, have fun at their work, and earn lots of money. One day they wake up with big money problems and then they cannot stop working. That's the price of only knowing how to work for money instead of working hard to have money work for you. So, do you still have the patience to learn? Patient to learn? Asked his dad. I nodded my head. Good, said his dad. Now get back to work. This time I will pay you nothing. What's what? I asked in amazement. You heard me? Nothing. You will work the same 3 hours every Saturday, but this time you will not be paid 10 cents per hour. You said you you said you wanted to learn to not work for money, so I am not going to pay you anything. I could not believe that I was hearing. I have already had this conversation with Mike, and he's already working, dusting and staking. Can it I have already had this conversation with Mike, and he is already working, dusting and staking cannot good for free. You had better hurry and get back there. That's not fair. I shouted. You have got to pay something. You said you wanted to learn. If you don't learn this now, you will grow up to be like two women and the older men sitting in my living room, working for the money and hoping I don't fire them. Or like your dad, earning lots of money only to be in debt up to his eyeballs, hoping more money will solve the problem. If that's you want, I will go back to our original deals of 10 cent an hour. Or you can do what most adults do. Complaints complain that there is not enough pay. Quit and go looking for another job. But what do? I asked. Rich dad tapped me on the head. Use this. He said, if you use it well, you will soon thank me for giving you an opportunity and you will grow into a rich man. I stood there, still not believing what a raw deal I was handed. I came to ask for a rise, and somehow I was instead working for nothing. I stood there, still not believing that I stood there, still not believing what a raw deal I was handed. I came to ask for a rise, and somehow I was instead working for nothing. Rich dad tapped me on the head again and said, "Use this head, and now get out of here and get back to work." Things as while reading this book, reading this chapter, I was thinking about myself as I am working in few companies. There I paid less, so now I will ask for more money, or I will do for them, and I will, yeah, I will do something for that. So some tip have 75, 30 pages. Okay. Next day I will complete this chapter number one. As today we learn about like if you want to learn some things, then you have to this sacrifice, and you have to work, and you have patience, and you have to questioning that "Okay, why are this happening, why this is happened," so like that, so you can learn something. So as we have it's 1 hour session. Thank you, Pratyush, and thanks to Kumar Piansu. He has given this book me for reading this and learning for my real life, learning things and applying in my real life, as money is a very important aspect of everyone's life. So I'm going to read it, adapt it, and try to apply in our lab and save money, and save money, not this like multiplying that money. So all those things I will going to do before finishing this, as I am working for many companies and all. Then I will surely do that. So okay, guys, thank you for hearing me, seeing me, and as I am consistent. So thanks to me, I am consistent, and I will be. Thank you, guys. Thank you. See you next day.